Hey, word on the street, nigga, Kris is a suspect.
Oh man, goddamn, bro. So hold on, alright. So I came across this damn video, and it puts things in a little bit more perspective, man. Cause growing up, learning about racism and all that stuff, that made black people look like they was just victims, and we just took it and didn't fight back. No, that ain't the case, bro. That's not the case at all, man. Did you know they had some KKK hunters, man, up in Louisiana? This particular group, they was called the Deacons, and it was on site with them KKK dudes, man. And really, in history, it's probably been like that with a lot of stuff. They just don't let us know because they want us to have a victim mindset and all that stuff. Like, oh, look at all this racist stuff. If they was just taking it on the chin like Jesus, nah, bro, that's not how it went. That is not how it went. I'm about to show you.
The civil rights era in the United States is marked racial segregation and discrimination against African Americans, giving rise to influential leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks. In this video, we'll explore a lesser-known group of African American men who instilled fear in the Ku Klux Klan during the peak of the civil rights movement in Louisiana. Let's delve into their courageous story. In 1964, during Freedom Summer, a period of intensive voter education and organizing for registration, particularly in Mississippi, the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, founded a Freedom House in Jonesboro. This move was met with disapproval from the Ku Klux Klan, which did not appreciate white activists staying there. Consequently, the Freedom House became a target for frequent attacks, along with several church burnings aimed at intimidating the black community. Formation of the Deacons of Defense and Justice. Before the formal establishment of the Deacons of Defense and Justice, two groups in Jonesboro were already working to defend African Americans. One group, led by Ernest Thomas and Percy Lee Bradford, acted as sentinels outside the Freedom House, ensuring the security of the community. Frederick Douglass Kirkpatrick, a high school teacher, organized another group of volunteers to monitor police arrests of African Americans. Around this time, CORE started demonstrating against the segregation of the Jonesboro Public Library and a public swimming pool. In response, the Ku Klux Klan and local police planned a caravan to intimidate the demonstrators and the African American population. The Ku Klux Klan inflicted terror upon black neighborhoods, resorting to intimidation, violence, and even murder. Recognizing the need to defend members of CORE and to protect their families and communities from Klan brutality, a group of African American men, led by Ernest Chilly Willie Thomas and Frederick Douglass Kirkpatrick, formed the Deacons for Defense and Justice on July 10, 1964. The Deacons for Defense and Justice were an armed self-defense organization. Most of the Deacons were veterans of both the Korean War and World War II. With the help of Charles Sims, Arizona, Young, and Robert Hicks, the Jonesboro chapter established its first associate chapter in the nearby city of Bogalusa, Louisiana. Eventually, a third chapter was formed in Louisiana. The Deacons' impact and success, in order to get the federal government to act on behalf of the local African American population, the Deacons' heated standoff with the Klan in Bogalusa was essential. State and federal officials launched initiatives to disarm the Klan in that region of the Deep South as a result of the attention they received on a national scale. The Deacons represented a new face of the civil rights movement because they were one of the first observable self-defense groups in the South. Traditional civil rights groups either said nothing about them or condemned their actions. However, they were successful in protecting local black and white civil rights activists, as well as African Americans who wanted to register to vote. For instance, the Deacons offered security during the 1966 March Against Fear that traveled from Memphis to Jackson, Mississippi. Additionally, their presence in southeastern Louisiana meant that the Klan would no longer have unopposed access to the local African Americans.
Come on, man, don't do that to me.
Whom they could threaten and intimidate. The clash in Bogalusa, Louisiana. In the sweltering summer of 1965, Bogalusa, Louisiana, became the backdrop for one of the most intense and violent clashes between two opposing forces, the Deacons for Defense and Justice and the Ku Klux Klan. For years, the Klan had been terrorizing the black community, instilling fear through intimidation, violence, and heinous acts of brutality. But the Deacons had reached a breaking point and decided that they could no longer stand idly by. Led by Charles Sims, a former paratrooper, and comprising a group of approximately 25 armed men with shotguns, rifles, and pistols, the Deacons were ready to confront the Klan head-on. As they approached a Klan assembly on that fateful day, the Deacons knew the risks they were taking. They were up against a formidable adversary known for its hate-filled ideology and vicious tactics. But the Deacons were undeterred, their determination and courage evident as they stood their ground, ready to defend their town and their community. As the Klan members gathered, their hoods and robes added an eerie and menacing aura, making them appear like an ominous army. The tension in the air was palpable, and the atmosphere was charged with hostility. The Klan members, emboldened by their hateful beliefs, began to march menacingly toward the Deacons, chanting vile slogans and brandishing Confederate flags. The confrontation reached a boiling point when both groups met in the middle of the street. Shouts and screams filled the air as anger and fear clashed in a fierce and chaotic showdown. Then, the deafening sound of gunfire erupted and the streets became a battleground. The Deacons and the Klan fired shots from behind trees and shrubs, their resolve unwavering as they fought for their respective causes. Amidst the chaos, a moment of bravery and selflessness emerged from one of the Deacons. Spotting a group of Klan members approaching a nearby church where black children were attending Sunday school, he knew he had to act swiftly. Without hesitation, he sprinted towards the church, determined to protect the innocent youngsters. With unwavering resolve, he opened fire, taking them down one by one. The other Deacons, witnessing their comrades' courage, rushed to the church to provide backup and support. The scene was now a chaotic and bloody mess, with bodies littering the street and thick smoke filling the air. But the Deacons had emerged victorious, having shown the Klan that they were not to be trifled with, that they would defend their community and loved ones with unyielding determination. As they left the scene, the Deacons couldn't help but contemplate the journey they had undertaken. They had started as a small group of men, driven by the desire to confront the Klan's tyranny and defend their community. Now, they stood as a formidable force, a symbol of resistance against violence and bigotry. The Deacons had proven that they would fight for what was right, even when faced with the ugliest aspects of humanity. The clash in Bogalusa marked a turning point for the Deacons for Defense and Justice. Their courage and resilience gained national attention, inspiring other black communities to establish their own self-defense groups. The federal government too took notice, initiating actions to curb the Klan's activities in the region. The Deacons' impact was undeniable, a powerful testament to the strength that comes from unity and determination. Legacy of the Deacons of Defense and Justice.
Man, I'm surprised they ain't try to shut these boys down, because when them Black Panthers came out just holding guns, they went hurried up and scrambled and changed the laws to where they could not do that no more. I'm surprised they let this rock.
After the Deacons successfully drove the Klan from Bogalusa, other black communities started their own self-defense organizations as a result of their success.
This sounds like the origin of gang banging, like, because the KKK was in the police force and gang, like, streets were... Neighborhoods formed what they call gangs, I guess, to combat against basically the KKK and the police. Yeah, you get it.
Incident also attracted the attention of the federal authorities, which started to take action against the Klan's activities in the region. The altercation at the Bogalusa rally served as a turning point for the Deacons, who rose to prominence as one of the nation's most successful black self-defense organizations. They kept defending their neighborhoods from the violence of white supremacists, and their memory endures as a representation of black tenacity and resistance. However, their methods were not without controversy. Even among nonviolence proponents in the civil rights movement, the Deacons' methods raised some debate. Some in the civil rights movement questioned their use of force, preferring nonviolent approaches. Yet the deacons argued that they had no other choice and that they were fighting for their very lives and the lives of their loved ones. Their strategies were successful. After the deacons arrived on the scene, there was a dramatic drop in Ku Klux Klan violence in Louisiana. In fact, the Klan even requested a truce from the deacons, admitting that they would be unable to carry out their plan to terrorize the black community any longer. All of the deacons' violent confrontations with the Klan throughout the summer of 1965 were to secure federal action. These strategies were effective when, in July 1965, rising violence between the deacons and the Klan in Bogalusa prompted the federal government to require local police agencies to protect civil rights activists in accordance with Reconstruction-era statutes. The deacons also launched a regional organizing drive, founding a total of 46 affiliates and 21 formal chapters in other locations. Lasting influence on the struggle for civil rights and the path for self-defense organizations. Finally, the group was only around for a brief while. It disbanded in 1968. The problems facing blacks in the North and the emergence of the Black Power movement in 1966 were given more national attention during that time. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, was alerted to and concerned by the strategy and tactics used by the deacons, and it subsequently approved an investigation into their operations. When more powerful
like
Black
Black
Power
Panthers
groups like the U.S. and the Black Panther Party arose after the 1965 Watts riot, the inquiry, however, came to a halt.
Okay, so they was before the Black Panthers then. We're gonna see what happens. I ain't watched the whole video.
The FBI and the general public's focus turned away from the deacons, who gradually lost most of their prominence and power. Despite not being a well-known figure in the history of the civil rights movement, the Deacons for Defense and Justice left a lasting influence. They demonstrated that African Americans could and would defend their rights in the face of hostile violence. They helped tip the scales in the struggle for civil rights and prepared the path for additional self-defense organizations like the Black.
BLM is not for us, man. I don't know why he even put this in there. BLM is for white liberals. They don't care about black people. What the heck?
Panther Party. In 2003, a documentary titled Deacons for Defense shed light on the efforts and impact of the deacons, ensuring that their story and legacy would be remembered and celebrated. Although the deacons' presence may have been brief, their impact and contributions to the struggle for civil rights continue to resonate today. As we reflect on the brave actions of the Deacons for Defense and Justice, we see the power of standing up for what's right, even against overwhelming odds. Their story holds a significant place in the annals of the civil rights movement, underscoring the fact that African Americans refused to be mere victims of oppression. Instead, they actively defended their rights and dignity. If you enjoyed this video, show your support with a like and subscribe to our channel to explore more captivating content. Thank you, and see you next time.
Yeah, man, that sounds a lot like the origins of gangbanging, how gangbanging started in Cali, but that was like early 70s when the Crips came from Cali. That sounds like the same exact story, but they wasn't considered a gang. Man, we know how America do, man. I ain't even gonna get deep into it, but those of you that can critically think, y'all know what's up, man. That's all, folks.
Bitch, I'm a suspect. Ain't no victims over here. We the suspects to be clear, man. Y'all be acting